Let's try that again. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It was fun to get the countdown twice today.
Yeah, well, it helps if I hit the go button. You know what? We should probably just get started right into the comics this week.
Good idea.
We finished up Ten of Swords, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's actually done because I'm not entirely sure what we spent the last like 10 weeks or so reading. I will say I kind of enjoyed the finish of it, I think, as opposed to most of the rest of the story, I think. But what were your thoughts? I mean, so we started off with X-Men 15 here.
Right, and I actually like this issue, because you had the actual X-Men in it, and in a way the reformation of the X-Men, who have sort of been an irrelevant entity since Powers of 10, and so it was nice to see Scott, Jean, Professor X-Men, the sort of A-listers for a little bit. Not really relevant to much of anything, except for the fact that this was obviously trying to reestablish the X-Men as a unit in this group, which is weird because they talk about how the council was the true power in there, but they already had X Factor, the Hellions. Like, there was already different groups here, so I don't know why X-Men were persona non grata. But and to be fair, I didn't really read this run of X-Men until Swords of 10 or 10 of Swords, so I don't know all the backstory as to why things are the way they are. But it's nice to kind of get back to basics here a little bit more grounded issue.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, actually. I liked that this issue stepped away from the action happening over in Otherworld and really focused on sort of the politics of Krakoa. And I like that because it grounds it in reality. It gives us, that real world feel, given even, this is a story about another dimension and opening up and a bunch of monsters wanting to take over the planet. But this, gives us as much of a real world feel as we can get, because it's not just, superheroes rushing in to do superhero things. You have to stop and think of what these consequences are gonna be for these crazy superhero actions. So yeah, I liked that we sort of stepped back in this issue a little bit. This was probably one of my favorite issues from the whole Ten of Swords series, I think.
I agree, and there was real stakes, personal stakes, and they kind of talked about how there's all this craziness going around, but we're focused on, what matters, and heroics. Nice to have some heroes in a superhero. Mm-hmm. That kind of led into Excalibur.
Yeah, and this was essentially the exact opposite, right? Like, this was as crazy as it gets. I have no idea still what happened with Saturnine at the end of this one, as she's putting together some sort of glass puzzle, and then it is not what she wanted it to be, and then it opens a portal, and then there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening. So yeah, this was one of the crazier issues of the Ten of Swords.
Yeah, and maybe it's because I'm not super familiar with Captain Britain, because I'm an American, but and I still have a chip on my shoulder for the Revolutionary War, but
might be time to let that one go.
What's going on here? Like, I feel like I missed something. Like, I didn't read one of those paragraphs I should have read, or I didn't get it.
No, I felt the same way. I mean, there was the stuff with Apocalypse that I I get, and that's where the story like really centers on. But yeah, there was just some other stuff going on that I just I don't know.
So, I mean, I guess without dwelling on that too much, we finally get into the um, Ten of Swords destruction issue,
Yeah, and
which
this
is the
one,
finale.
yeah, this delivered that big fight that we thought we were going to get right from the beginning, right? Like we thought all of these issues would be about this giant fight, and we finally got it. Whether it was what we wanted or not. This did feel epic. I will say that it felt like that big comic book battle. It felt, again, I've said this before with Ten of Swords. It felt very Lord of the Rings to me. Like there was a very like sort of medieval vibe to the fight and stuff like that. So we did get a couple of those like Avengers Endgame type moments with the reinforcements showing up, which was cool. So it was fun to see like all of the heroes finally getting together for that big fight. Still pretty crazy. Kind of, again, it was closer to the Excalibur issue than it was to the X-Men issue.
Yeah, and I mean, spoiler alert, because you can't talk about finale without talking about the finale. Did we know that the mask was? Did we know what that was before today?
So I think all that we had, if I remember correctly, is just that there was she was always kind of speaking in those two voices, right? Like there was the black word bubble, and then there's occasionally she was talking in her own voice. But yeah, as far as I know, unless there was some tie-in issue that we missed or something, that was that was a new sort of reveal, which seems like a weird spot to do it.
Yeah, it just kind of. I mean, these events sometimes have this problem, but they all seem kind of rushed at the end.
Yeah.
And no real stakes here. I mean, we lost 2 mutants, in the course of this event, but not really today. Apocalypse goes off to, his new world, his new place, but I don't know. I mean, he'll be back. He says he'll be back. It's
right.
Big world, right? Like, and then I guess there'll be some new mutant friends at Krakoa, but.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I'm not sure where we ended up here at the end of Ten of Swords. I mean, not to get too into the exact details of how it ended, but yeah, like you said, I guess we're going to have some new mutants over, not the new mutant, but some other new mutants over at in Krakoa, but we don't exactly know who or what they are. So I'm not entirely sure. And then, like you said, the stakes. I'm not. We lost 2 mutants throughout the story, but did we? I'm not sure with the whole Captain Britain thing. So yeah, I really don't know what the consequences were of this whole story. And I see that you've led into our first piece of news here.
Yeah, I figured it might as well make sense. So
yeah.
This was after the dawn of X, which was what happened before, the era before Ten of Swords, comes the reign of X, REIJGN, which is a little confusing because dawn, you would think it's climactic, but
right.
You know what I mean. So I guess it's a teaser image. Not quite sure what's going on with Logan over here, being James Bond. Storm is front and center, which is exciting because I think she's a great character.
Yep.
You got these newlyweds that can't talk to each other. Cypher, Jean Grey and Cyclops, Nightcrawler reading his diary.
Yeah, it is cool that we get those X-Men characters that you've been calling for to see more of this whole time. Yeah. And we focus more on them as opposed to some of the other characters.
Saturnine here looks like she's still around, I think, right? Is that who that is? She has a card. Oh no, you know what? That's probably
Emma.
Hellfire Club, yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows? Looks like Gambit has something to say. At least there's cards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure where this left us. Obviously, there were, going back to the sort of the politics of the X-Men issue, there were some decisions made that, some ties had to be cut. Some people had to be removed from their seats. So I guess that's going to change how Krakoa is run, and we'll see how this all shakes out. But as of right now, couldn't tell you where this is going to go.
And I don't know that I'm going to know, because Ten of Swords didn't really draw me in terms of wanting, like, I wanted to know what happened in that story, but it's not like now I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. And with King in Black coming, not saying that we can only read the 5 comics we read here, but we only read 5 comics, and I don't know that I'm still gonna be like, I can't wait to find out what happens in X-Men.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page there. I'm curious, but I'm not. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks now. I'm so excited for King in Black. That's where all my focus is going to be. But yeah, X-Men is not at the top of my list to see what's going on here. I do want to ask you. So since we've been doing this, we've had 2 big crossover stories that we've done: Ten of Swords and Empire. Which one do you prefer?
I will say, we've been critical on Ten of Swords, perhaps not fairly, but I liked how one issue led into another. There was no confusion as to what you read next. There was no confusion as where things took place. It wasn't just, there weren't sort of those throwaway tie-in issues that we had.
Yeah.
Also, Empire, there's obviously tie-in issues that we didn't get because there was things that were not explained.
Right.
So we're publicly a victim of COVID. So I like the structure of Ten of Swords, but I feel like I was able to grasp. I mean, if anything, Empire was a little bit more repetitive, but it helped, know, okay, here's the story of this character. I knew what every character's story was. And in here, they did a big sort of all-time sort of explanation issue, but I never felt like I got who are these people really?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, I understood Empire more, and I wanted to like Ten of Swords more than what I did. It got a little too overcomplicated at times. It was a really, really big story with a lot of different characters, so it was kind of hard to follow at times. But I did enjoy it. Both crossovers had things that I liked about them. So
yeah, I'm into, and I like how the X universe, for better or for worse, is contained now. It's coordinated. I think sometimes like there's with the Avenger characters, there's no real big through line for them, or
right.
So
Yeah, very
was nice. It's kind of their little world, but I mean, part of the problem I had with the X-Men back in the day was they were always a little unwieldy because there's so many of them. Oh, there's a person, so then they get mutant powers, right? And so there was just tons, and that and then Wanda Maximoff tried to make it a little bit simpler for me. I appreciate it for that, but then now it's all over the place again. There's so many, and now people who you thought were just superheroes are now mutants, and so they get thrown into it. But alas, keep reading.
Yeah, and it's only going to get more messy now when we bring in the mutants of Arakko, right? Like it's getting crazier.
Yeah, I know. Maybe someone needs to do a snap or something. So back to comics, or I guess back to our new issues. We had Shang-Chi number 3, I believe.
Yeah, it was number 3. I'll be honest, I had to go back. I think we've been so focused on Ten of Swords and some of the other story arcs going on. I kind of got lost. I picked up Shang-Chi. I read the first couple pages, and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't ring a bell for me. And I had to go back to the second issue. And I think what it stemmed from was there was some stuff where I thought Shang-Chi was hallucinating in issue number 2, but apparently it was really happening. So So these zombie vampire things, they're a thing now, which is interesting. What did you think of this issue?
I thought I like the story. I thought this one was a little bit of spinning its wheels a little bit, which is weird in a limited series. I guess it helped establish a relationship with his half brother and half sister, which was good. Kind of. After Ten of Swords, I'm okay taking a little bit of a slower pace, so I liked it. Not quite sure where it's going, but I think it's a step. I really like the first 2 issues. I think this one was just a little bit of a step down in terms of storytelling. But
yeah, I would agree with that totally. This issue is about, like you said, establishing a relationship with these other 2 new characters, which is fine. It's weird to have it in a limited series, but you do occasionally need those kinds of issues. And not to give too many details of this issue away, but Shang-Chi finds a mysterious map, and that's always going to catch my interest. I want to know where this map is taking him. So especially in the Marvel universe, because who knows where, or Marvel multiverse, who knows where this is going to be going. This story could go anywhere after this, but yeah. So I'm still intrigued. I'm still on board with this series, but I do agree that this was probably my least favorite issue of the series so far.
But now it's time for what I guess is both of our picks of the week, just based on the last one, Power Pack.
Yeah, this was an easy pick of the week for me. I think since we started doing this might be the funniest comic we've done. I laughed out loud several times while reading this, and I probably seem crazy to my neighbors because I'm home by myself right now. So yeah, this was a really, really entertaining story. I'm familiar with the Power Pack in concept, but I haven't read a whole bunch of Power Pack comics, so I didn't really know the characters all that well. And I did check after reading this. You can read most of the original Power Pack series on Marvel Unlimited right now, which is awesome. I'm probably going to be going back to do that pretty soon. What did you think of this issue?
I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I think they did the exposition perfectly at the beginning of the book. You know, they gave it time, but they did it in such a way so it didn't feel like it was filler. And it was humorous. And, you know, having just watched 616 and learning about the origin of Power Pack a little bit more, you know, it's almost perfect timing. It does tie into the Outlawed series a bit that's been going on with the teen heroes, which is kind of cool. Because at first you think this is this goofball comic book outside of the Marvel universe, really. I mean, you know, maybe not in name, but in terms of practice. So they're fun. What I like about it is the four characters all have their identities, and it's very simple. They convey that in very smart ways. Like, they don't have to come out and tell you in so many words, but they do it through their actions, and you pick up on it, and you get to know them so well in the first issue without having to do, you know, too much heavy lifting in terms of exposition.
Yeah, I would compare this to the Fantastic Four, but it's just sort of goofier, just more of a humorous Fantastic Four type story. I love I said it before, I love the whole concept of Outlawed, and I really like that this ties into that. I can't wait to see where that goes, because could you imagine these four interacting with Miles Morales and Squirrel Girl and Kamala Khan? That concept excites me. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, this is just such a fun comic. It's not very serious until you get to that last moment there. And even then, I mean, it's still, they take it, you know, with sort of a humorous stride. So just really, really fun. I'm excited to keep going with this series.
Yeah, me too. Is this a limited series?
I don't remember the announcement of this one, to be honest. It did feel like this, the release schedule was kind of jacked up with this, because, you know, it even says, like, at the end, it gives you the related issues. And it was that Outlawed issue that we read, I don't know how many months ago at this point.
Yeah, I think this was definitely delayed. I don't remember exactly how much, but yeah, this was supposed to come out before now. But yeah, I will read this one cover to cover, issue to issue. Moving forward.
Yes, jump into some news.
So, speaking of humor, hey, you like that?
Yeah.
With Deadpool.
Yeah, so, you know, you can make some chimichangas and tacos. Actually, the one of the recipes that they had in the book there that they showed off was, I believe it's called stabby meat sticks or something like that. It's basically, you know, meat skewers. This is just going to be fun. Who doesn't love Deadpool? The idea of Deadpool giving us a cookbook is hilarious. And yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the character, which if you've read the character, read any of the comics or seen the movie, how could you not be? You're definitely going to enjoy this. And this comes from the same author of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the official cookbook. So cool connection there.
Yeah, it just sounds fun. And you know, we tested out some of those other, you know, some of these novelty cookbooks. You know, they sacrifice food for fun, but the food was actually really good. So, it can be fun and functional.
Yeah, and I like food. I'm not picky, so I'm sure I will enjoy anything that comes out of this cookbook.
Spider-Bot. That's what Spider-Bot can.
Yeah, so from food over to merch, we can soon get the Spider-Man Spider Bots from Avengers Campus over at Disneyland, which be fair to Florida, let's get that over here too. So these will be available in downtown Disney December 4th, if I have the date correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December 3rd?
4th, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. December 4th. But they will be available to annual pass holders starting on the 30th of November.
There you go. Right. Yeah. So, you'll be able to pick them up at World of Disney and the Disneyland Resort backlot premiere shop as well. Really cool opportunity to own a piece of Avengers Campus. Who knows how long before it opens?
That's kind of, they just had this stuff in boxes like behind someplace, and then they were like, oh, you know what, we should do something with this stuff. I also want to show off some of the other merchandise they're going to have at Avengers Campus, or that you pre-sale. So there's a Spider-Bot, there's a ball cap, which is hard to tell in this picture, but it's got a little A on it. A performance tee. Don't love that one. Kind of sashy.
Pretty cool.
A hoodie.
That I like.
Yeah, that one. That's cool. A woman's performance tee. A gray zip up. A Spider-Man youth tee, which is very blurry. And Spider-Bot diagnostic test tee for kids, web logo tee, V-neck, and a patch. So
it's cool that we get all the web merch, but now after finishing 10 of Swords, I just want Krakoa to be a land in a theme park. So let's get on that.
Yeah. So by the way, that Spider-Bot, $79.
That's actually less than I would expect. Yeah. I would have thought comparable to the droids over in Galaxy's Edge.
How would you have felt if instead of building Avengers Campus, they built Krakoa?
See, going with Krakoa first would be weird because I don't think we're a small group of nerds who are aware of Krakoa. Avengers Campus has a much bigger appeal. But I mean, I think it lends itself better actually to a theme park environment. I think you could go. It could be very similar to Pandora, the world of Avatar. That sort of look, which I think will be really cool.
Speaking of really cool, Kate Bishop.
Yeah. So Marvel's Avengers did one of their War Table events, but this was their first War Table deep dive, which looked into Operation Taking Aim, which is the new operation for Kate Bishop, this second Hawkeye, which features Clint Barton as well, the first Hawkeye. And it just looks awesome. I can't wait to play this. All of her moves and everything just looked really cool. The story looks fantastic, which is not surprising because that was the strong suit of that game. The story was just so good. But yeah, Kate is a really awesome character. And this looked, some of the gameplay that they showed off and everything just looked great. And you can see a trailer for the operation as well.
Yeah, I think I played the main through line, and I've done some other quests since then. Mm-hmm. But obviously, with there's only so much entertainment I can consume in a day, and I'm looking forward maybe over the holiday weekend to getting back in it a little bit before Kate makes her debut.
Yeah, and that will happen on December 8th. They did also tease the next operation, which I am looking Future Imperfect, which is about focused on Clint Barton in the future. and they did give a little bit of a teaser about it, and a certain big bearded green character by the name of Maestro appeared. So that is going to be exciting.
Fresh off of his new Peter David comic.
Yep.
Marvel Unlimited, great Christmas gift for the Marvel friend in your family.
Yeah. Marvel. Yeah, I can't recommend Marvel Unlimited enough. If you want to get into comics, or you know somebody who wants to get into comics, this is the only way to do it, I think, as opposed to, trying to amass a giant collection yourself, which is also fun, but, a little inconvenient at times. Marvel Unlimited gives you every comic you could possibly want. Like I just said, I thought, let me look back to see if Power Pack is available, and of course it is. But right now, they just announced that several of the Donny Cates Venom series and the Absolute Carnage series will be available for free without an unlimited subscription, which is awesome as we get ready for King in Black. So it'll have you ready to go for this upcoming big crossover event.
And finally, last but not least, you don't want to hear more Marvel talk. There's Marvel podcast now on SiriusXM.
Yeah, and an original scripted audio series called Marvel's Wastelanders, focused on some of the older versions of your favorite characters, like Old Man Star-Lord, Grey Widow, which is would be my introduction to the character, Old Man Hawkeye, and then Old Man Logan or Old Man Wolverine, which is a really cool idea. So you can check that out on SiriusXM.
Yeah, and you can also get the podcast that Marvel does, for regular, like Marvel's The Pull List and This Week in Marvel early, if you subscribe to SiriusXM and get it through there. And I plugged those two because one of the co-hosts was at my wedding. So I think that's what we got in terms of Marvel this week. You know what? There's actually some MCU news that we should probably talk about.
Yeah.
First, Marvel has found writers for Deadpool 3.
Yeah, which I personally don't know much about the writers themselves and their works, but
I believe that sounds like Bob's Burgers.
Right, which is cool. I've never really gotten into Bob's Burgers, so I can't really speak to that. But I will say I do want to get into Bob's Burgers. I just haven't had the chance to do it. But
Disney's Bob's Burgers,
right? But the big news for me, at least here, is that they got writers. It didn't matter who it was, that they are moving forward with Deadpool 3, and we are, actually making progress on it. So I'm so happy that franchise is going to continue or reboot or revamp, whatever it's going to do. I'm happy that it's happening.
And then back in sort of, I guess, MCU proper, because we don't know what Deadpool's gonna. I mean, Deadpool can do whatever it wants because it's Deadpool, right. But it's been revealed. I don't know if announced is the right word, that Black Panther 2 will begin production this summer.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't moved the 2020. They haven't. Well, I guess it's now. When's the current release date? May 6th. We don't know when it's going to be planned because of all the COVID stuff.
Right.
But,
May 6th, 2022.
Chadwick Boseman. We're not quite sure when we'll see it.
Yeah. I don't think we can even really speculate as to when we'll actually see this movie at this point. But May 6th, 2022 was the original date. But of course, that's going to be pushed back. Exciting news. I'm happy to see that this is moving forward, and we'll have to see how they move forward with it.
Yeah, and and I always say in Kevin Feige we trust, and obviously they would have preferred not to lose Chadwick Boseman, just not even just storytelling wise, but just as a human.
Right.
But I think they'll find a way to pay tribute to him while still moving the franchise forward and honoring his legacy and honoring Black Panther's legacy and the MCU as a whole. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm just looking forward to anything. Because we are 2 months away-ish from some MCU action with WandaVision on Disney+.
Yeah, a little less than 2 months, which is exciting.
So cool. So anything else you want to share?
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to mention that we have a video up on our YouTube channel right now. You can check out, I unbox a whole bunch of new Venom toys, including Doobie's favorite guy right here, Venom Pool. This is the Venom Pool Build-A-Figure, by the way, so you can see us get all the parts and assemble the figure there. So yeah, you can check that out. You can check that out now. And then, of course, Marvel 616 is up on Disney Plus now. I feel like I have been watching nothing but Marvel 616 for the last 10 days or so. But it's a fantastic series. Definitely check it out. Episode 4 especially is so funny.
Is that the Paul Scheer episode?
That is the Paul Scheer episode, yeah, with Brute Force. So yeah, check that out. The whole series though really is so great. Every episode I really enjoyed. So yeah, I can check that out on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah. Then you can go to SiriusXM and listen to Marvel Method, which is a Marvel podcast hosted by Method Man.
I mean, can't go wrong there.
Nope. Hey, listen to the whole thing. So, yeah, I've seen the first 2 episodes. I've seen Japanese Spider-Man and the Higher, Faster, Stronger episode about the history of women in comics. Mm-hmm. And they're both excellent, to the point where the reason I'm not further is I want to watch it when I can focus and not, be distracted. So I'm
right.
we'll bust through them through the holiday weekend, but I'll go on my high horse again. I'm disappointed that I had to, I have 6 of them left instead of just having 1 a week where I could really focus and every episode could get its love, because we could spend a whole week just celebrating Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen. I just I want to start making our case here for Disney Plus adding the Japanese Spider-Man series. I think that would be that would have everybody interested.
That's a no-brainer in terms of what needs to happen.
Right.
But in case we got to run, so thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back at 7:30 with our news video from hosted by Rebecca Burbank and produced by Mike Celestino. So see everybody.
Bye. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.